The sands of time do not lie, but they do conceal. For centuries, archaeologists and historians have carefully stitched together the story of human civilization, placing neatly labeled pins into timelines and layering the epochs with confidence. Yet there is a growing unease within the cracks of that certainty, a silence too loud to ignore. The deeper we dig, both into the earth and the forgotten texts, the more we find that something is missing, something vast, something deliberate. In Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, clay tablets speak of kings who ruled for tens of thousands of years before any known dynasty. The Sumerian king list records reigns so impossibly long they are dismissed as myth. And yet the details, the astronomical knowledge, the consistent symbolism, the rituals, speak with eerie clarity. Who were these antediluvian monarchs, and why do similar records echo from ancient Egypt, India, and Mesoamerica? How can cultures with no known contact preserve mirrored myths of a time when gods walked among men? Mainstream academia insists humanity suddenly advanced around 6,000 years ago. But megalithic ruins in Göbekli Tepe, predating the rise of agriculture, defy that narrative. They whisper of a forgotten sophistication, a knowledge of cosmic cycles, sacred geometry, and architectural precision unseen until millennia later. Who taught ancient builders to align structures with solstices and star systems we only recently mapped with telescopes? Hidden beneath the Vatican, it is rumored, are scrolls that speak of a time before time, epochs of human flourishing erased by cataclysm and conquest. One fragment, attributed to an exiled Alexandrian mystic, refers cryptically to the three veils before the fourth sun, a time when the sky was red and the earth's axis spun to different stars. Could this be the same cosmic upheaval mentioned in the Mayan long count, the Zoroastrian frashokarity, and the Hindu concept of yugas? Whispers from the secret societies, Rosicrucians, Freemasons, the Priory of Sion, hint at a suppressed lineage of knowledge. Initiates speak of the Chronos divide, a temporal abyss stitched into history by design. Within this lost span lies a golden age, not of myth but of memory, where technologies blurred the lines between spirit and matter, crystals hummed with encoded sound, monoliths vibrated with levitation, and language was less spoken than shaped by thought. One recovered manuscript, known only as Codex Orbis, reportedly vanished after surfacing briefly in Prague in the 1500s. It described a global event around 10,800 BCE, a fall from unity, not just in civilization, but in consciousness itself. It was not a flood that ended the age, but a sundering of time, a cleaving of mind from the field of knowing. Those who survived built the myths to hide the truth, not out of deception, but as guardians of a humanity not yet ready to remember. In Antarctica, radar scans have revealed subterranean geometric formations, too regular to be natural. Beneath the ice, something slumbers. And not just structures. Maps, perhaps. Atlantean? Hyperborean? Names given to echoes of civilizations that predate language itself. One declassified report from a German expedition in 1939 speaks of an inner library, a chamber inscribed with a clock of worlds, tracking resets far older than any calendar. Linguists have discovered peculiar anomalies in the Proto-Indo-European language root, a pattern of mirrored phonemes that suggest a missing linguistic layer, like a lost dialect encoded beneath all spoken tongues. Some now believe language was not invented, but inherited, passed down intact from a source long gone. A pre-human source. Across multiple religious traditions, there are curious gaps between the mythic and the historical. In Genesis, the sons of God descended to earth, only for the narrative to leap forward. In Hindu cosmology, entire yugas are mentioned but left unelaborated. What if these omissions are not metaphor but deliberate censorship? Gnostic texts such as the Pistis Sophia warn of cosmic gatekeepers, archons, who edit timelines to keep humanity shackled to a false history. At CERN, Physicists studying neutrino anomalies have begun to suspect that time does not merely move forward, it loops, splinters, and bleeds. Some frequencies, they say, allow for messages to emerge not from the past, but from before the past. Information encoded into the vacuum itself. Is this what Tesla meant when he said he received signals from beyond the ether? Egyptologists can no longer deny the weathering on the Sphinx predates the dynastic era. Water erosion suggests rainfall unseen in the region for over 10,000 years. Was the Sphinx a marker? An anchor placed to survive the reset? The dream stele of Thutmose IV, found between its paws, speaks of a buried chamber holding the scroll of becoming, a text rumored to outline the cycles of Earth not taught in any modern curriculum. Cliffside monasteries in Tibet harbor ancient prayer wheels carved with star patterns matching those found at Pumapunku in Bolivia. The same 12 stars, the same cyclical spiral. Remote viewers and esoteric scholars alike speak of a great convergence, a prehistorical unity where all civilizations were connected by a non-physical network. Some call it the Akashic grid, others call it the lattice. All agree it collapsed suddenly without warning. The Dead Sea Scrolls contain references to a Book of the Watchers, a text censored from canon, describing angels who descended and taught men the arts of war, healing, astronomy, and metallurgy. This intervention, said to have occurred in a time before kings, ended with judgment and silence, but the scrolls end mid-thought, as if torn away or buried under mandate. Why? The Vatican Apostolic Archive has corridors no one is allowed to enter. Vaults that have remained unopened for centuries. One sealed vault, known only as Index Malorum, is whispered to contain the Chronicles of Enoch, complete with diagrams of machines capable of mapping soul trajectories across lifetimes, devices used, according to rumor, during the first human epoch, an era scrubbed from every textbook. In Peru, the Nazca lines stretch across desert plains, massive and precise. From the air, they depict not just animals and geometric shapes, but what appears to be star maps. One line points directly to the star Sirius B, unseen by modern instruments until the 19th century. How could ancient peoples, without telescopes, encode such knowledge? A scholar named Dr. Elias Corbin disappeared in 1997 after claiming to have discovered a negative space in the fossil record. A 20,000-year void where nothing should exist, but where anomalous artifacts like the Piri-Reis map and the Antikythera mechanism seem to originate. He called it the interval, a period removed from time itself. His final words before vanishing, "They're not missing years, they're forbidden ones." And now, as global magnetic fields shift, as ancient sites hum with new frequency, and as solar cycles accelerate beyond predicted norms, something is stirring. The signs are not just in the sky, but beneath our feet, in the bones of the earth and in the whispers of the bloodline. The veil thins not because we seek it, but because it remembers us. But this is only the beginning. For in the ruins beneath the ruins, in the history beneath the history, something still breathes, watching, waiting to be found. The missing is not gone, it is sealed. In a remote valley in eastern Turkey, not far from where the Euphrates winds through the Anatolian plains, a new excavation unearthed something buried deeper than Göbekli Tepe itself, a stone ring twice the size, untouched by human feet for tens of thousands of years. Carvings along the central megalith depicted impossible scenes, men standing beside towering reptilian figures, glowing discs descending from the sky, a spiral calendar etched with 13 symbols no linguist could decipher. But the strangest thing was the lack of tools, debris, or human remains. It was as if the site had not been abandoned, but hidden. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Siro Rahman, reported the site's discovery in a private communiqué to a small circle of researchers. Weeks later, he vanished from his Istanbul apartment without a trace. Surveillance footage showed him leaving his building at 3:17 a.m., but never arriving at his destination, On his desk, investigators found only one object, a cube of black stone, warm to the touch and humming at a frequency imperceptible to standard instruments. The cube bore a single inscription, Cycle 5, Minuscution Complete. In esoteric circles, the phrase Cycle 5 has long been linked to the precession of the equinox, a 26,000-year cosmic clock. According to ancient sources like the Lhasa manuscripts and the Hermetic Tabula Stellarum, humanity has passed through 4 great epochs, each ending in fire, ice, or deluge. Cycle 5, they warn, would not end with destruction, but with remembrance. It is within the margins of old manuscripts that the truth still flickers. In a forbidden chapter of the Zohar, encoded in Mirror Hebrew, a passage reads, "There is a time before time, sealed by 7 thunders. Only when the sky splits and the hidden sun returns shall the veil be undone." 7 thunders, a recurring motif found in Sumerian, Hopi, and Dogon mythologies. What are they? Events, entities, celestial triggers? Off the coast of India, in the submerged city of Dwarka, divers recently recovered a bronze plate inscribed with a celestial diagram of 8 concentric rings surrounded by unfamiliar glyphs. Indian naval intelligence confiscated the artifact within 48 hours, but not before high-resolution scans leaked to a private academic forum. The rings corresponded to the orbits not of known planets, but of theoretical bodies in the Oort cloud beyond Pluto. The implication was staggering. Someone long before us mapped the outermost boundaries of the solar system. The thread continues in South America. In the Bolivian highlands, a cave system recently opened by seismic shifts revealed murals painted with an unknown mineral compound that glows under ultraviolet light. The scenes show star maps aligning with Earth at intervals of 11,500 years, the same span proposed by Plato for the fall of Atlantis. But in the final chamber, a depiction more haunting than all, human figures kneeling before a floating, eye-shaped device, as shadowy beings reach out from a rift in the air. Everything points to one conclusion: something immense occurred, something too advanced, too ancient, and too dangerous to be preserved openly. A chapter of human history that cannot be reconciled with linear evolution or orthodox timelines. Perhaps this is why the ancients encoded their knowledge in allegory, in architecture, in riddles guarded by temples and initiates, not to deceive, but to wait for someone who could see. One such bloodline, whispered about in Rosicrucian texts, is the Order of the Black Flame, a lineage traced to pre-flood priest-scientists who preserved fragments of pre-cataclysmic knowledge through memory, not paper. Their rituals involve chant frequencies that allegedly triggered dormant genetic memories, unlocking visions of a world not yet found in our archaeology. These visions, documented by initiates, speak of floating citadels, translucent monuments, and cities powered by harmonic fields. Why, then, has this missing history been buried so thoroughly? Why do modern institutions, scientific and religious, refuse to entertain these anomalies? The answer may lie in control. A civilization that remembers it once commanded the forces of energy, sound, and thought itself cannot be contained. A species that knows it has fallen once before cannot be manipulated into believing it has reached its peak. Across the globe, whispers rise of something stirring beneath the earth. A pulse. In Montana's Beartooth Mountains, hikers report hearing a low hum and experiencing time distortion, minutes stretching into hours. In Romania's Bucegi Mountains, a U.S.-Romanian covert expedition was said to have breached a crystalline vault, revealing a holographic library and a warning. He who deciphers this must first forget the world he comes from. Satellite images from the Pacific show strange geometric patterns, grids, pyramids, circles, on the ocean floor between Hawaii and Japan. Some researchers believe these are remnants of Mu or Lemuria, while others argue they're not ruins at all but dormant machines. devices meant to reactivate when the Earth's magnetosphere reaches a certain threshold, and that threshold is coming closer with each solar storm. The Hopi elders speak of the fourth world ending not by fire or flood, but by the return of the red star Kachina, an entity or object said to shake the Earth to awaken the past. Astronomers have recently confirmed a red dwarf on an elongated orbit that could intersect our system in the coming centuries. Is this coincidence or prophecy? Perhaps the greatest mystery lies within the human body itself. Certain DNA segments, once considered junk, are beginning to activate in ways scientists can't explain. Increased sensitivity to sound, light, and dream phenomena. Patterns of déjà vu tied not to personal memory but to places and times that do not exist in recorded history. Are we remembering or resyncing? A small sect of monks in the Atlas Mountains keep a single book, bound in meteoric iron and inked with crushed lapis lazuli. It has no title. It begins not with words, but with a question. What if your history began before time remembered time? The final page shows a solar eclipse, 3 stars in perfect alignment, and the silhouette of a tower submerged beneath waves. Somewhere, beneath ruins not yet uncovered, a mechanism ticks. It was built not by men, but by those who came before, not to dominate, but to awaken. A countdown, carved in stone and starlight, is nearing 0. And when it does, when the song of the old world echoes through the hollow bones of this one, there will be no denying the truth anymore. And yet, even now, as governments tighten control and ancient texts vanish from archives, as synchronicities multiply and dreams bleed into waking hours, you can feel it. In the silence between thoughts, in the symbols you do not remember learning, yet somehow understand, in the chill that moves through you when the stars align just so. The gap in time was not a mistake, it was the key, and the key has begun to turn. A fragment of obsidian glass uncovered deep in the Libyan desert has baffled researchers for decades. Initially thought to be a product of meteor impact, new isotopic scans reveal that it contains traces of an element not found anywhere on Earth, nor in the asteroid belt. More shocking was the geometric etching beneath its molten surface, a perfect 12-pointed star matching sacred diagrams found in Sumerian ziggurats, Mayan calendars, and the oldest Tellus temple. Different continents, different epochs, same design. Archaeologists have no consensus explanation. One theory posits the existence of a pre-human intervention event, a blast so precise and calculated that it vitrified the sand into glass without disturbing the surrounding strata. Who or what would possess that kind of directed energy thousands of years before recorded history? And why leave a symbol etched so carefully inside the stone? In the British Museum's restricted archives lies an artifact long suppressed from public view, a worn copper disc, retrieved from the ruins beneath Lake Titicaca. When exposed to magnetic fields, the disc emits a subtle frequency that causes intense lucid dreams in those nearby. Several researchers experienced visions of cities suspended in the sky, of beings made of light, and of a cataclysm that fractured not just the land but time itself. These visions matched eerily with the Chilambalam prophecies of the Maya, which speak of a time when the sky ladder shattered and the world's breath was taken. Scholars once dismissed such passages as mythic metaphors, but what if they describe a rupture in temporal continuity, a reset engineered to veil a technological civilization from the fragile minds of its survivors? In the heart of the Congo, near Lake Tella, an isolated tribe speaks of the Zekna, beings who walk between pulses and speak in the stillness of seconds. A French anthropologist, Jacques Moreau, lived with them for 3 years and returned shaken. His journals, never published, describe ritual sites constructed in alignment with pulses in the Earth's Schumann resonance. According to the tribe, these alignments allowed the Zekna to move between epochs, writing the intervals between measurable time. Moreau died under mysterious circumstances in 1978. His last journal entry read, "They are not myths. They never left. We are the ones who forgot how to see sideways." His sketches, crude but meticulous, depicted arch-shaped monoliths hidden deep in the jungle, each marked with the same 12-pointed star etched into the Libyan glass. What begins to emerge is not a linear progression of civilizations, but a spiral of cycles, interventions, and resets. History is not a straight path from ignorance to enlightenment. It is a loop, interrupted, distorted, hidden behind veils both intentional and accidental. What we call prehistory may in fact be the end of something unimaginably vast. In 2022, an unmarked drone scanned the base of Mount Kailash in Tibet and sent back anomalous readings. Rectangular voids beneath the rock, aligned perfectly to Orion's belt. Chinese military forces immediately sealed off the area. Ancient texts, from the Bone religion to apocryphal Buddhist scrolls, call Kailash the axis mundi, the pillar between worlds. But perhaps that isn't mythic metaphor. Perhaps it's literal. A leaked report from a Himalayan expedition mentions harmonic vibrations emerging from the voids and, more disturbingly, a perceptual shift among the team, resulting in overlapping memories from lifetimes not their own. One scientist claimed he remembered standing at the helm of a ship that could sail through light itself. Another spoke fluent Sanskrit, though he'd never studied it. All of this suggests the timeline we live in is not the first, that we are inheritors of an ancient recursion, each epoch rising and falling under cosmic laws we do not yet understand. Ancient monuments aren't just ceremonial, they are anchors, resonators, markers of when the cycles must repeat. And when they repeat, they bring the memory back. The Sibylline oracles, long believed to be obscure Roman prophecies, contain strange anomalies. In the 7th book, one verse suddenly shifts languages, from Latin to a pre-Greek dialect. Translated, it reads, "The shadow between suns will return, and when the blood sings to the stone, time shall bend again." What is the shadow between suns? A celestial object? An entity? A void? Astronomers recently observed gravitational waves that don't follow expected patterns. Some now speculate that these distortions may be caused not by black holes, but by artificial masses moving through dimensions slightly out of sync with ours. Could these be remnants of the prior cycle? Are we witnessing bleed-through from the forgotten age? In Egypt, an underground chamber beneath the Temple of Dendera was opened for the first time in 2,000 years. Inside, a mural showed a vast wheel, time segmented into 8 repeating ages, with a different star system ruling over each. The final section was painted black, with a single word in faded demotic script, rebirth. But the orientation of the stars in the first segment didn't match any known past configuration. They matched a future sky. And perhaps that is what we now face. Not merely a forgotten past, but the return of what was forgotten. A convergence of memory, matter, and meaning, an age where the hidden becomes visible again, where all timelines rethread. But reintegration is not peace. The guardians of this knowledge, those who preserved the forgetting, will not let it unfold freely. Already we see signs: mass data disappearances, rewritten archives, sealed archaeological sites, and a flood of digital noise meant to drown the truth. And yet, it is too late to stop what has begun. People all over the world dream of places they have never seen, speak languages they've never learned, are drawn to stars with no known significance. These are not accidents, they are echoes. And somewhere, hidden within the bones of this earth, the map waits. The lost history is not buried. It is encoded in your return. And that return is accelerating. In a remote chamber beneath the ruins of Baalbek, sealed behind tons of cyclopean stone, a forgotten glyph was discovered on a basalt altar. It bore no resemblance to Phoenician, Aramaic, or any script known to historians. Yet, When projected under stroboscopic UV light, the glyph rearranged into a three-dimensional lattice, an interlocked geometry that matched the harmonic frequencies recorded in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid. These frequencies were not accidental, they were keys. This lattice has since been replicated using quantum harmonic modeling. Shockingly, when played through an ultrasonic chamber, it emits a waveform that mirrors fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background. In other words, the glyph does not merely represent sound. It echoes the birth signature of the universe itself. Was this civilization playing with the raw code of creation? The implications shook the researchers. Within that encoded lattice was a second pattern, one aligning with the mysterious Schumann window, a frequency band said to entrain human consciousness with Earth. But within the window was a modulation, a pulse, a signal not from Earth but sent to it, a call and perhaps a response. The timing matched events now known as awakening flares across cultures. The Vedic ascension, the Hopi fifth world, the Norse Ragnarok, not an apocalypse but a remembering. Elsewhere, in the subterranean archives of Montserrat, Spain, a Jesuit codex long thought lost was rediscovered. Codex Tenebris. Inside were diagrams that resembled star maps, but warped, as if viewed through a gravitational lens. One marginal note read, "All maps are lies unless drawn by the eye of God." Another page displayed a human figure surrounded by 12 concentric rings, each labeled with a virtue, a frequency, and a planetary alignment. And this perhaps is the core of the mystery, that the missing history is not only hidden in stone or script, but in ourselves. Our DNA, long thought to be mostly junk, is activating in ways never seen before. Children born with anomalous sensitivities, people having shared visions of impossible symbols, genetic memories surfacing across bloodlines. What if we are the archives? What if the truth cannot be destroyed because it was implanted in us? But the awakening does not come without resistance. Deep within the black programs of major governments, documents labeled Chrono Failsafe have surfaced. Plans to disrupt the rising synchronicities by artificially injecting dissonance into the collective unconscious. Manipulated timelines, synthetic dreams, false awakenings. Digital noise to blur the voice of the soul. Even now, as new artifacts emerge from melting glaciers, rising deserts, and collapsing caverns, efforts are underway to suppress them. A crystalline disk found in Siberia vanished from the Russian Academy of Sciences. A gold-etched tablet, retrieved from under the Baltic Sea, is now held in a NATO-controlled vault in Belgium. Each artifact points not only to an advanced prehistoric civilization, but to a moment in time when all knowledge converged and then fractured. Among the highest initiates of the ancient mystery schools, there is a legend of the circle of 12 beings, perhaps human or beyond, who gathered once every 13,000 years at a point on Earth where time touches the source. Their role was not to rule, but to remember. And when the memory grew too heavy for the world to bear, they retreated into sleep, each carrying a fragment of the true timeline within them. Where are they now? Some say they are scattered across the earth, reborn in different ages, drawn to certain places, symbols, and frequencies without knowing why. Others believe they are waking even now, as the harmonic alignment nears completion. A celestial window opens every 26,000 years, and this time the Earth is approaching true north once more. We are witnessing the signs, anomalies in space-time, bleed-throughs in memory, convergences in ancient prophecies across disconnected cultures. The missing piece is no longer historical, it is existential. When enough souls remember what was taken, the veil will collapse, not as an event, but as a realization. A moment when the past, the future, and the now converge in the hearts of those who were never meant to forget. And yet, there is one final passage. In a sealed scroll found beneath the ruins of an Ethiopian monastery, written in a language no linguist can trace but one that dreamers recognize, it is said, "When the time comes, the earth will open. not with fire, but with song. The deep tone will rise from stone, from blood, from star, and the 12 shall hear. Then shall the false timeline be broken and the path restored. And now the sound is rising. In the deep chambers of the earth vibrations stir. Forgotten glyphs glow faintly once more. The stars shift with ancient purpose. Somewhere, beneath the ruins of the timeline we were given, the doorway begins to unlock. The forgotten age has not passed. It waits beneath your feet. And what lies beyond that doorway is waking up.